Hi guys, welcome to episode 58 of Security Dog Handler Live. We are on shift. Hope you are good. Not loads going on. Had a busy end to last week. But yeah, not loads going on. Pretty standard week so far. Just trying to catch up on, I was trying to catch up on sleep to be honest last week. But this week's been pretty good. Nothing too disastrous going on. Had some rain. I was a bit worried that it was going to be smashing it down with rain whilst I was trying to do this live, and then all you'd be able to hear is the rain smashing on the roof. Drove this van through a hailstorm the other day, and this sound of hail hitting this van was ridiculous. Let me just pull that down a little bit. Yeah, the sound of hail hitting this van the other night was horrendous. So I'm not looking forward to having a shift if there happens to be hail going on around, because that will feel like a long shift. But yeah, I hope you're good. I hope everything's going well. I'm looking forward to some time off next week. Only working 4 days next week, and then I'm going for a golf weekend with the boss, so I'm looking forward to that. Like I say, short week next weekend, and then going for a golf trip with the boss. So hopefully I might be able to talk him into a £5 an hour pay rise, but unlikely, but I'll give it a go. But yeah, so yeah, like I say, hope everyone's good. If you're in the live, then there's the chat box there if you want to ask any questions or give me a topic to talk about. Like I say, not loads been going on, but had a crap end to last week. I did a live, which was obviously last Saturday's video. I took a screen record of about half an hour of it, which I thought might be interesting to some people. It's probably more interesting than another video that I could have done. Is this pink straight? It's winding me up. It was more interesting than a video that I could have made, so I thought it would be good for the people that want to hear it. It's probably quite good. Last Thursday, I think I was live for about 70 minutes whilst I was eating some dinner and that, and probably the first half an hour of that wasn't probably that interesting, probably not too much going on, so people will probably click onto a live, maybe watch a few minutes and then click off. And I thought that last half an hour, or like the last 40 minutes, was probably really interesting, so that's why that was last Saturday's live. Hope you enjoyed that video. Like I say, I think that's an important video for someone. It's not going to be an important video for everyone, but yeah, so this Saturday's video is going to be a Patreon video. So if you guys are signed up to my Patreon, obviously it really helps me out to be able to continue doing this. So this Saturday is going to be a Patreon video, and it's about who's more important. So that video is going to be going live on Saturday. So yeah, I hope that goes down well. I think it's another it's an interesting subject that's maybe not spoken about too much. So I think that it's worth talking about. It's worth me blurting out and giving my 50p's worth, and then seeing what other people have got to say. But yeah, so that video, so this Saturday is going to be a Patreon video. I'll say from £3 a month. There's a link in the description of this live. From like £3 a month, it really could help me out to continue doing this, and then hopefully do bigger and better things. But yeah, it's up to you guys. I obviously can't make you do that. But yeah, so like I say, if you're in the live, just chat box there, ask me a question. I haven't got loads going on. Back end of last week in that live, I explained that I had to take an unintentional night off. So I got up from my sleep and found that Ollie, the 1-year-old Cocker Spaniel, was eating the Sky remote, and I couldn't find the batteries anywhere, and I actually thought that Ollie had eaten the batteries. So I ended up having to take him to the vets, which cost me 600 quid. they had to do an X-ray. Done an X-ray. There was no batteries. And then a few hours later, when the missus got home, she looked around. About half hour into looking, she found the batteries in the dog's toy box. So they got a little toy box with ropes and some balls and some other sort of hard wearing chewy things, and the batteries had gone in there. So what Ollie had done is he had got the remote, sat on the sofa, chewed it, knocked the back off because it was a bit broke, knocked the back off, gone over to his toy box, played with the remote in his toy box, knocked the 2 batteries out that obviously then got covered by toys, and then gone back onto the sofa. And obviously I've walked up, seen him and the remote, the back and no batteries, and obviously I had to run him to the vets. And like I say, it ended up costing me 600 quid. And this is a little bit where pet insurance I feel is a little bit of a con. Obviously if you get big bills, vet bills come through, like I'm talking like 2,000, 4,000, 8,000 pounds, etc., then obviously dog insurance is quite good. But obviously I think with dog insurance they only ever you're only allowed to use the dog insurance once on one body part. So let's say the dog hurts its right leg and you claim on that right leg, you then can't claim if the dog hurts that right leg again. I think that's how it works. But this is where it becomes a bit of a con. So if Ollie doesn't have pet insurance. I've explained this many times to a lot of people. Like, Ollie doesn't have pet insurance. I put money into an account for both dogs, and then if anything happens, then I've got the money in order to pay it. So this is where I feel pet insurance is a bit of a con. So if I had insured Ollie since I had him, and I paid, let's say, £35 a month. I think when I first got Coop, and for the first year before I started doing this, I insured him. I think he was about £35 a month. So let's say I insured Ollie for like £35 a month. Up until now, I've not had to claim for anything for Ollie. Not had to claim any injuries, any vet bills, any of that sort of stuff. So I would have been paying £35 a month. And I think I worked out I would have more or less paid about 600 quid, maybe just under 600 quid. Now, I obviously got a vet bill for £600, which I then could have possibly claimed on the insurance, etc. But I probably would have had an excess on that. So I probably would have had to have paid £250, £300 excess probably for the claim. And so you add that on, so let's call it 600 quid. So I now add 250 quid on. I'm now like 850 quid. They will then probably pay me back out for the £600 vet bill, but I've spent 850 quid in order to get £600 back. And that's where I feel like pet insurance is a bit of a con. And obviously if you make a claim on it, then obviously your premium's going to go up. So now Ollie might be like £50 a month, and from then on I'm going to be paying like £50 a month. So although pet insurance is good for £2,000, £4,000, £8,000 bills, when it comes to sort of anything under £1,000, most of the time by claiming off that insurance you're actually just costing yourself more money. But like I say, I wouldn't begrudge anyone that actually does have pet insurance. I do feel that the way in which I do it, obviously I have to do it for Cooper because no one will insure Cooper, but the way God, the way in which I do it with Ollie, I've still ended up more or less equal. Let's call it equal, because I would have paid 600 quid out on insurance for Ollie for the past sort of 15-16 months. Then I just paid out on one vet bill. But like I say, yeah, so I had that last week. But like I say, because of the way in which I've done it, because of Coop, I obviously had a little fund in order to be able to pay for that vet bill. So I'm not getting the violin out and saying that I've had to pay 600 quid and everyone feels sorry for me. I've prepared for that. So it's not a massive story, but obviously it's 600 quid that I never had 2 weeks ago. So, well, no, it's 600 quid that I did have 2 weeks ago, or 1 week ago. So yeah, that's kind of what's been going on. I had a pretty stress-free weekend. The missus was away for for the weekend as well. So me and the dogs kind of chilled out. I had the dogs here, but I had both dogs here Sunday and Monday night. And like I say, the weather's just been, hasn't lashed it down, but it's been like a constant rain all week, and it's kind of crappy. I've got Coop out. What are we now? Thursday. I think I got Coop out Tuesday because I had Ollie Sunday, Monday. So I think, no, I had Ollie. So it must have been Monday night. I got Coop out with some bite stuff like the bite bar and the sleeve and that. And I just got absolutely caped. I was not soaking wet, but I got wet. Had mud all over me. So yeah. So although like obviously coming to shift and doing training and that, when it's this kind of weather and it's sort of wet and things like that, it's a bit of a pain. What are you doing? What's this guy doing? Just give me a sec. You going to a car? Oh, fuck. Give me 2 seconds. It's like he was going to a car. I thought I could see a wing mirror, but I couldn't quite work it out. So yeah, yeah. If anyone's got any questions or anything they want to put it in the chat box. It really helps me out because I'm running out of things to talk about. But yeah, so yeah, I got Coop out Monday night and done some tug stuff and some little sleeve stuff. Like I say, with me, I kind of use the sleeve like a big bite bar. So I've got a bite pillow, I've got a bite bar. I use them, and then what I'll normally do is I'll get the sleeve out because the sleeve's obviously a lot bigger, and it's obviously a lot bigger for him to bite, and it's different to, let's say, the bite bar. So the bite bar, it's not flimsy, but it's softer than the sleeve. So what I try to do is use the sleeve as like a bit of a bite bar. So something, so when he moves onto a sleeve, so when we go training and he's biting a sleeve, etc., he's used to it being a little bit firmer. But yeah, like I say, with this weather, with it raining and things like that, I got wet, I got muddy. I had to put that pair of trousers in the wash and use another pair of trousers for the week. So although doing training at work is good, it can be a bit of a pain this time of year where you're having to go through maybe a couple of sets of trousers each week rather than just one, which, okay, if you're doing the wash, it's not too bad, but if you've got someone else doing your washing, etc., if you're going through 2 or 3 pairs of trousers a week, they're not overly happy about it. Dermot Leeson, hi bud, how are you? I hope you and Cooper are okay. Not as cold as late, no. So a lot of you might have seen recently, I've had like a bit of a spotty forehead. That's from wearing my woolly hat. So obviously wearing my woolly hat consistently when it's cold, etc. Sometimes I just get some spots on my forehead where if I don't wash the hat enough. I did wash this last weekend just to try and clean it up and that, but yeah, it's not been as cold. I've been able to wear like normal hats. This is actually so I've got 2 of these hats. So this one is my waterproof one, so this is waterproof, so therefore when I go out and it's pissing down with rain, the hat doesn't get wet, therefore my head doesn't get cold. So I've got 2 of these. I've got like a material one, and I've got like this one which is waterproof. And yeah, I've been able to be on a normal hat. I don't think I've worn my snood this week. I've been doing my jacket up, but I haven't been wearing my snood this week. So yeah, it's getting warmer. I think even though it's like maybe 8-10 degrees during the day, it is still getting down to maybe 2 or 3 in the night. But if you're out patrolling, if you're out walking, you're out doing stuff with a dog, especially if you're doing training like I was doing on Monday night, I think it was maybe 4 or 5 degrees on Monday night when I was doing some stuff with Coop, etc. But when you've got the bike bar out and you're doing stuff with the dog, you stay warm. But yeah, if you're out patrolling, like even when it's like 2-3 degrees, if you're out patrolling, out training with the dog, out playing ball with the dog or whatever, but yeah, it's been much nicer. It's much better than, what was it, -7 about a month ago, was it? About a month ago it was about -7. So yeah, it's been pretty decent. I'm glad not to be wearing the woolly hat as much anymore. Like I say, it's better for my skin, and I'm not wearing the snood, etc. Because the problem I have with snood as well, if I just shave, so I just sort of shave this down, I don't clean shave, if I just shave this down, this starts getting stuck on the snood and it's a bit of a pain in the arse. So yeah, I'm happy that it's starting to warm up, and like I say, hopefully within the next, what are we now, end of Feb, March, maybe got another month before you start seeing it being consistently over 10 degrees, and maybe in the evenings being up around 7 or 8, which would be quite nice. Like that's a nice temperature to be working in. I think around about 12 is kind of like your ideal. I think even when it's like 7, sometimes you still need the fan heater going, but I think once you get sort of maybe 12 to 15, they're the kind of times where you don't need the fan heater. You can have the doors wide open and you can stay warm, etc. So yeah, I think we're probably maybe a month to 6 weeks away from that sort of happening. Chip King, this weather has been a nightmare, cold, wet, demoralising. Welcome to England. Yeah, it's like I say, I don't mind this time of year, in terms of, as long as you're set up and you can keep yourself kind of warm. I don't kind of mind it, but it is a bit of a pain when you're on a, like, I've got a feeling it's quite similar tonight. So what night was it? Tuesday? Can't remember what night. It might have been Tuesday that I came to work, and it was sort of raining but not too bad, and then it absolutely smashed it down from like 7 until about 2 or 3, and like properly smashed it down from like about 7 to about 2 or 3. And yeah, that's demoralising, because you have to obviously get out and do your patrols and do what you have to, but you're not getting out to play for the fun of it, because you're not going to get the dog absolutely soaking wet. Dog's not really going to enjoy it, you're not going to really enjoy it, etc. So yeah, it is a bit demoralising when you're not stuck in the van, but when you look out and it's like flooding around you and things like that. So yeah, it is what it is. It's, like I say, we're near the end of it now, maybe 4 to 6 weeks, and we should be out at the end of winter and into spring, which, okay, April showers, but hopefully you get away with it. So off the record, how's the wedding planning going? Not too bad. Not too bad. I think we're pretty much set. I've got so there was a dog handler that I met when I first started, etc., and he's stopped doing dog handling now. As far as I'm aware, he's stopped doing dog handling now, and he does like videography, and would be interesting. Don't know whether I could afford to do it or whatever. It would be interesting to get involved with him one day, in order of making sort of a YouTube video. He does. Am I bleeding? For some reason, I've just got a nosebleed. Oh man, what happened then? So you've mentioned the wedding, and I've got a nosebleed. So yeah, it'd be interesting one day to what the fuck? It'd be interesting one day to if I could ever afford it, or a video calls for it to be able to use him for some videography for it. But yeah, he's doing my wedding, and he actually contacted me today, and we spoke about it, etc. And because I booked him way in advance, I got a decent deal out of it. But I called it the dog handler discount, obviously from knowing him when he was a dog handler, etc. So but yeah, I think the wedding's pretty much done. You can never say it's completely done, but I think it's pretty much done. I think in like a few weeks' time I've got like my 6-week meeting, etc. But yeah, it's going well. I think everything's kind of set in place. I have no idea why I've just got a nosebleed. Jesus. Oh. I mean, that can be more or less on the record, because I can't imagine that. I can't imagine my fiance is going to put herself through sitting through me an hour live of me. So I can't imagine the missus is ever going to watch this video. But yeah, it's going well. What the? I'm blaming you, Dermot, for that. You started talking about the wedding, and my nose started bleeding. But how is everyone else? Is everyone else well? I hope. Has anyone got anything exciting that's worth talking about? Anything training, site-wise? Not site-wise, but you know what I mean. Like anything interesting that's worth talking about, or any other kind of questions? Anything that anyone's got any questions? So, like I said, my video from last Saturday was a half-hour snippet of a live I did that I never published. Because like I say, it was about 70 minutes long, and the first sort of 20-30 minutes, etc. wasn't that interesting, because I'd done it off the cuff. I was sitting around. It was more for me just to chill out and someone to talk to, because the missus wasn't home, I think. So yeah, that was my video for last Saturday. Has anyone got any questions about that? Because like I say, I think that's an interesting topic for some people to hear my kind of story. Now, I've spoken about my story quite a lot, in terms of how I got to where I am, the stuff that I've not overcome, but my journey to getting here wasn't the easiest. And when I say that, I mean that I didn't turn up to my first session and Cooper nailed Terry, dragged him over the fence and got him on the floor. Like, my journey wasn't that. So has anyone got any questions about that? Because I'm happy to talk about that a bit more. Like I say, if it helps anyone, then it's worth talking about, etc. But yeah, that was sort of kind of like the video from last weekend, and I think it's important, even though I've spoken about my story before and probably people have asked me about it again, I always feel like it's better to carry on talking about it, because it's not what everyone imagines. Like, when people see security dog handlers, whether it's my content or whether it's content on TikTok or Instagram, wherever you kind of see it, like, I think when people see that content for the first time, they just imagine that you turned up one day and it just happened automatically. Like, he's got a German Shepherd, he must have just turned up to his first session, and all of what the dog does now, the dog was doing then. And like I say, that's not the case. And like I say, I think it's worth always talking about and saying, look, it wasn't easy. My dog was next to useless when I first turned up, and it's taken lots of time, lots of practice, years of training, in order to get to where we are now. I'm not saying that my dog's the best. Like, I see dogs on sort of YouTube and social media, etc., that are better than my dog, and it's okay. It's okay for other people's dogs to be better. Like, people have dogs doing what my dog does for sports reasons. Some people have it for security reasons, and it's not a competition in terms of who got the best dog. Obviously, if you're doing sport, then it is. That's the whole point of sport. But when it comes to general security dog handling, it's like, it's not a competition of who's got the best dog. And like, lots of people's dogs are be better in some departments, but then my dog is better than other departments. Like when I used to go training with Terry quite a lot, and I'd go there and I'd feel pretty comfortable with my dog in terms of his levels, etc., compared to obviously the people that I was kind of training with. But I knew when I went to training that there were better dogs that were on a sleeve. There were better dogs on the sleeve. There were better dogs at biting. But I then knew that my dog was at a much higher level in terms of patrol, in terms of finding people on site, in terms of doing standoff, etc. So it's okay for your dog not to be the best at everything, because everyone's dog is probably better than someone else's dog in a certain department, etc. So, like I say, when I first turned up, Cooper was next to useless, and yeah, it's taken a lot of training and a lot of time to get to where we are, but it is doable. And like I said in that video as well, like without Terry giving me the opportunity, I wouldn't be doing this. I would have probably just turned away and gone and done something else. But by Terry giving me the opportunity and Cooper the opportunity that other trainers probably wouldn't have done, then that's why I'm here now. But like I say, when I used to go with training with Terry quite a lot, I'd say that there was probably 50 to 60% of the dogs were better on a sleeve than Cooper was. But then I would say that Cooper was probably in the top 20% of dogs on sort of patrol, in terms of standoff, in terms of what's it called when you got multiple people in front of you, crowd control. Like I would say that Cooper was up there in the top 20% of dogs that I see at training in terms of doing that kind of stuff. And like I say, it's okay for your dog not to be in the top 50% of in terms of sleeve work, etc. Because like I said, when them things happen at site or them things happen at work, then obviously it's a pivotal thing and it's an important thing. But when you speak to people and like it's 10 years no live bites, 12 years no live bites, 20 years no live bites, etc., then it kind of diminishes the importance on that kind of part. And that's a little bit like my video that's coming out on Patreon this Saturday, like who is more important, and I kind of just speak about that a little bit because it's important to understand who is more important in the team. Because I was saying this as well, like when you get your SIA and you become a security guard, after that there's so much focus on the dog. Like the dog's got to be able to do this, dog's got to be able to do that, and I think sometimes it gets a little bit lost in terms of who is actually more important as part of the team, etc. So, but yeah, that's a Patreon video for Saturday for people that are signed up to it, etc. And but yeah, like I say, it's okay for your dog not to be the top dog in all departments, etc. It's okay for your dog to be in the bottom 50% in terms of sleeve work if they're in the top, say, if they're in the top 50% when it comes to patrol, when it comes to crowd control and things like that, because not everyone's dog is going to be in the top 20% of everything. There will obviously be the odd one here and there, and depends on the handler, depends on the trainer. There'll obviously be some that are in the top 20% in over all aspects, etc. But then other dogs will be a little bit better. Do police dog handlers look down on security dog handlers, military dog handlers as such? What I can see, levels of training are the same. I think it all depends. I think it depends from handler to handler, team to team. Obviously, on paper, the police training is higher, so they will look. No, I don't think they would look down. I think it's important that the police don't look down at security dog handlers, because at the end of the day we are saving them from doing a lot of work. So we are saving the police a lot of call outs, we are saving them from a lot of time spent trying to deal with situations, because we obviously deter a lot of that, and we can also deal with a lot of that. So I don't think the police should ever look down at security dog handlers, because we are saving them time, we are saving them situations, etc. Now, would they look down in terms of dog? Like I say, I think it would go from handler to handler, team to team, and if you have done a good job, if you've kept the dog under control and kept the level of force correct, then there's no reason for them to look down at you. Now, like I said, on paper, so we train our dogs to a NASDO level 2, so GP level 2. Now, moving up to level 3, you start doing sort of tracking, and you start to do sort of tracking and then like off lead searches. So in terms of like security dogs, that's why you'll see the police quite a lot. They'll let the dog off the lead and they'll throw the dog over the fence into a garden, and they'll be able to say to the dog, look more to the left, look more to the right, etc. That's obviously the difference between us. I can't take Coop off a lead, pick him up and throw him into a garden, because I don't know who's in that garden. If the homeowner is in the garden and not the person that I'm meant to be chasing, if they're not in the garden and the dog ends up nailing the homeowner, then obviously I'm going to be in a lot of trouble. But once you go up to sort of level 3, you start doing tracking. I think you start doing sort of off-lead patrolling, so you control the dog going more left, more right. So on paper, they will look at it and say, well, our dogs are higher trained. Now, there are security dogs. There are security dogs that are NASDO level 3, so that I've passed in sort of tracking and different things like that. But they, from what I understand and what I know, you don't get any more money. Like, if someone is a level 3 and they get sent to my site, they're not going to be getting paid any more than I'm getting paid. It does cost a lot more. I think most NASDO courses for level 2, typically if you're doing like a week intense course, they're around about 500 to 600 quid. In order to go NASDO level 3, from what I've seen, they're more like about 1500 quid. So they are more expensive. And if you pass level 2, it's not like, oh, you only pay £1,000 for level 3. It's normally you pay 1500 quid for level 3. So on paper, the police will look at it and say, well, yeah, our dogs are better than you because our paperwork says that that they are trained to a higher level. But what I like when I used to, when I used to go to training with Terry, like Terry would set out tracking and we would train tracking. And look, I've done some off-lead sort of patrols with Coop, in terms of, because Cooper and Terry get on and they know each other really well. Terry's comfortable, well, was comfortable with me just letting Coop off the lead, saying, off you go and find him. And then Coop will go in, find him, do a standoff, get the ball, and then relax. So we've sort of trained that kind of stuff, but on paper it would never say that we can do tracking, we can do off-lead searches, etc. And like I say, as a security dog handler, you're not going to be, even if you've got a NASDO level 3 as a security dog handler, you're still never going to be okayed to take the dog off lead, throw it over a fence to go and find someone. That's never going to be okayed. So it's more of so when you I don't know loads about this, but in terms of sport dogs, where they go, now there's different levels in which you can pass. So I don't know exactly how it works, but the dog team, so the handler and the dog, the reason that they try and get to that next level is so that they can say that they've done it, to say that they have got a certificate for it. And it's the same with security dog handling. So in order to do what we do, we only need a NASDO level 3. There are people that go and do a NASDO and get no, have I just said that wrong? To do what we do, you only need a NASDO level 2. Now, there are people that go and do level 3, but that's just for them to say, we are trained to this level. It really doesn't make a lot of difference. But to the handler, he might want to say, look, I can train dogs up to level 3. My dog is trained to a level 3. So the police shouldn't look down on us, because as long as we're doing the job correctly, we are saving them a lot of issues, we're saving them a lot of call outs, we're saving them a lot of situations. So they shouldn't. But like I say, if you do something stupid and they end up getting caught there, or your dog is out of control and the police dog handler has to deal with that dog to get it under control, then yes, then obviously they are going to look. So it's more of a team to team basis, a situation basis as well. Respect is good for everyone. No iron team work. Yeah, like I say, I think you can look at us as an extension of the police. And I'm not saying that in terms of me thinking that I am a police officer, but we are an extension of that, is that we are a deterrent. We are a deterrent to stop crime. So the same way that when there's crime in a certain area, they might send police cars out to patrol that area a little bit more often. That's kind of what we do. So in terms of us being here, we are just like the police car that drives around a certain area more often to try and deter crime. So yeah, like I say, we are kind of like an extension to it. We are obviously, if we ever have any problems, then obviously we call the police and that. So yeah, I think the police should respect what we do, because like I say, we do save them possibly a lot of call outs and a lot of situations, etc. So like I say, I think the most important thing to take out of that is that the police will only look down at you if you're causing them a headache, if you've caused a situation that didn't need to be caused, etc. If you're not doing any of that and the police are not having to deal with you, then there's no reason that they should ever look down at you. And like I say, different dogs are trained for different things. So for security, we're kind of like an all-round sort of GP dog. With police, it is more likely that a police dog is going to get called to a situation with weapons. So they will probably need to potentially condition their dog more for weapons than maybe we do. Now obviously you never know what's going to happen when you're working this, and it is good to condition your dog for weapons and condition your dog for someone to fight back, because that is likely to happen. But in terms of police, it is more likely that a police dog is going to deal with someone with a weapon on a more common basis, on a year-to-year basis. You might work in this job and you might go 2 years without dealing with someone with a weapon. Then you might get I don't know, 3 in 6 months. But if you're a police dog, you're more likely to be dealing maybe with that once a week, once a shift, once a month, whatever it is. So they have to condition the dog a little bit more for weapons. In terms of military stuff, it is more likely that a military dog is going to be trained not to just deter someone, not just to stop someone, but to maybe even go that little bit further. Now, I'm putting words in maybe the industry's mouth, but that's the way in which I look at it. So in terms of us, we're kind of like a GP dog that has to deal with pressure and possibly deal with someone with weapons. In terms of police dog, it's going to be that next step where the police dog is going to be conditioned to definitely deal with someone with weapons, to be able to stop someone with a weapon. And then probably when you start looking at military, you start looking at dogs that are trained to not only deter, not only to stop someone with weapons, but maybe even go that little bit further. So, like I say, everyone should kind of respect everyone else, because just because you're a security dog handler, it doesn't mean that you don't train your dog to a similar standard to the police. It's just on paper you might not have it down. And the problem is with sort of police, like, I don't know whether I ever wanted to be a police dog handler, but in order to be a police dog handler, you have to sign up do all the police training, become a policeman. You have to, I think, spend 2 years. Someone might correct me on that, but I think you then have to spend like a couple of years on the what I would call the beat. So going around patrolling, dealing with crime for sort of 2 years. Then you can apply for to go into like a special unit. So that whether that be K9, whether that be armed response, whatever it is. So you have to do 2 years on the beat before you can then apply for that. But there's a waiting list for that. So you might go into the police saying, right, I want to get into the police to then become a police dog handler, but you might not become a police dog handler for 5 years, 6 years, because you then have to go through all of their training as well. So security dog handling is probably full of people that wanted to be a police dog handler but didn't want to have to do the 2 years on the beat with dealing with major crime when all you've got in your hand is a bit of pepper spray and a set of handcuffs. Like, it's not something that I would want to do. Like, I respect police for doing that, but if I'm getting called to somewhere in London with a bloke with a machete and I turn up and all I've got is a pepper spray and a pair of handcuffs, like, that's not for me. Like, obviously America possibly has it a lot better, where all of their police are trained with guns. Now obviously the gun laws in America is different to over here, but that doesn't mean that there's no guns in and around London. Like, the amount of stuff that happens in London that you probably don't hear about is probably frightening for most people. But I don't feel like our police is protected enough, especially nowadays with the amount of knife crime, etc., and things like that. But I think security dog handling is full of people that wanted to be police dog handlers but didn't want to do the police stuff. Security dog handling, I definitely know this. I definitely know that security dog handling is full of military personnel. Now, whether they were dog handlers in the military or not, I don't know, but the security dog handling is full of military personnel that have decided they either want to continue working with dogs outside the military, or they've left the military and want to do security and have gone into the dog section, etc. So I think that you have to be careful of who you look down to, who you look up to, etc., because not every police dog handler is going to be as well trained as a military dog handler. There may be some handlers in security dog handling that are better dog handlers than the police, but just because they have a badge, just because they have a certificate to say that they have passed certain courses, it doesn't mean that they're any better trained than you. Like, I would never blow smoke up my own arse, but on paper I am the same. I am similarly trained to a lot of other handlers, but I've turned up and met a lot of other handlers, and again, not blowing smoke up my own arse, but I know I am better than them. But just by communication, being able to talk to someone, like the amount of times that I have turned up and the security dog handler has either not wanted to talk to me, has struggled to talk to me, has almost been shy. And the way in which I've always looked at it, if I turn up and you know I'm not a threat, you know that I'm obviously going to talk to you, etc. If you can't be comfortable and be able to talk to me in a confident manner, then when someone breaks on and you're having to deal with them in terms of a situation, how do you turn from not wanting to talk to someone that is not going to be harmful to you to being able to talk to someone that is going to be possibly wanting to cause you harm? So just because on paper it says that you're similarly trained, or just because it says on paper that a police dog handler is better trained than you, it's not always the case. And like I say, there's lots of security dog handlers in this industry that are probably better than police dog handlers or military dog handlers, but maybe because of their title you just assume that they're at a lower level, but it's not always the case. I feel like I've done a lot of talking then, and I'm not sure if any of that made any sense. But you'll see loads of videos out now. sometimes it's there was a video that came out a long time ago, and people have used that as a sign of like police dog handlers, etc. And basically the police dog handler is dealing with a group of people, and the dog tries to reward itself, and the police dog handler has got a ball in his pocket. Now what that looks like is that the dog's tried to reward itself by biting the police officer, but what actually happened was the ball was there, and the dog knew where the ball was, and the dog went to bite the ball or get the ball. It just so happened that it was in his pocket, and it looked like the dog bit the handler. Now on paper he's going to be at a higher level trained than maybe a security dog handler, but that is a schoolboy error for you to have a ball that the dog knows where it is and it to be on the dog's side when you're dealing with a situation. Like when you're dealing, although you want to be able to reward your dog for doing a good job, etc., that can be done away from sort of the situation, etc. And to have the ball on the dog's side is kind of like a schoolboy error. So look, you can look at that and say, well, that trainer, that dog handler isn't that well trained. He probably is. He's just made a bit of a rookie error. But like I say, that just kind of goes to prove that just because someone on paper has got a high level, doesn't mean that they don't make mistakes. Doesn't mean that they make stupid mistakes. Like they probably don't issue this statistic throughout the year, but I would like to know how many unlawful or how many accidental bites police dogs have throughout the year compared to security dog handling. Now you obviously need to understand that probably the police dog is dealing with more incidents, more people on a regular basis compared to a security dog handler. But it would be interesting to find out the statistic of illegal or unlawful bites that the police have had to pay compensation out compared to the security dog handling industry. Like I say, just because someone on paper has got a higher qualification than you doesn't mean that they're any better, doesn't mean that you should be looked down to. It should be relatively respected. Like I say, without trying to say that we are police, we are kind of like an extension because we do a similar job, but that's in terms of just like a deterrent, the same way that they would send a patrol car out into a certain area to try and cut down on crime in that area, etc. So yeah, I think the respect throughout all dog handlers should be there, and I think most of the time it is. I think most handlers will look at another handler as the same until proven otherwise. Like any dog handler I meet or any dog handler that contacts me, I will treat them exactly the same until they give me a reason not to. And like I say, earlier it made me sound like I was blowing smoke up my own arse when I said, look, I know that I'm better than this person as a security dog handler, but the reason that I know that is just by the way that their mannerisms are. The fact that they don't want to talk, that might not make me a better dog handler. Maybe that just makes me a better security guard. Maybe that just makes me a whole as an all-round security guard. Maybe that just makes me a bit better. But like I say, on paper, me and them would have the same qualifications. So yeah, that's my kind of 50p on that. Felt like I've done a lot of talking. Don't know if any of that made any sense. I don't know if I have offended anyone. If I have offended anyone, then I do apologise. None of that was meant to be offending or whatever. So hopefully you take that as my opinion and take that as me not trying to offend anyone. But yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on it. Right, we are coming up to 50 minutes. My phone needs charging. We are coming up to 50 minutes. So if anyone has got any last thing that they want me to talk about, any last questions or a quick subject that they want me to talk about, then I'm happy to stay on. If not, then we will call it there. I think that was reasonably successful, especially the last maybe 20 minutes, etc. talking about that. Yeah. But yeah, my phone's down to 14%, so I need to get my phone on charge as well. Come on, charge. Oh, Jesus. it's charging. So yeah, has anyone got any last question? I'll give you another 30 seconds. Just while I again just tell you about Saturday. So Saturday's video is who is more important, and that's going to be a Patreon video. Like I say, in the link to this and in the description of this video is a link to my Patreon. Look, it really helps me out if you sign up to the Patreon. From as small as £3 a month, you can really help me to keep doing this and obviously try and do some bigger and better things in the future. But yeah, I appreciate it if you want to do that. And like I say, Saturday's video is going to be a Patreon one. Hope you all have a good end to your week and weekend. Next week I will do a live on Wednesday, because as I said earlier in this video, on Thursday me and my boss are going on a golf weekend, where I'm going to try and get a £5 an hour pay rise and see how we get on. So hopefully you have a good end to your week and weekend. I'll be live again on Wednesday. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for everyone that got involved and gave me some subjects to talk about. Always helps me out. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys. If you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Subscribe down below for loads more videos. And as for now, I'll see you again next week. Just watching. See you later.